You ever find yourself in a relationship that just feels like a psychological maze? One with no exit, where you're constantly trying to solve a puzzle that just makes absolutely no sense. Well, let's get into it, because today we're breaking down the escape plan from that exhausting, draining trap of a narcissistic relationship. It always starts with this one very natural question that can just completely take over your life. Why are they like this? Right? But what if I told you that the very act of trying to figure them out is the trap? Seriously, this is the core of their entire strategy, and just understanding that is your first real step to breaking free. There's actually a term for this pattern: crazy making. And look, this isn't just random, chaotic behavior. It's a deliberate tactic. Think of it like a Pandora's box that's been specifically engineered to make you question your own mind, your own sanity, and over time, to just run you into the ground mentally and emotionally. It's a feature of their behavior, not a bug. So here's the absolute key. They are not looking for a resolution. They're not trying to find a connection with you. Their one and only goal is something called narcissistic supply. And what is that? It's simple. It's your reaction. The drama, the chaos, your anger, your sadness, that's what they feed on. And trust me, they will get that supply by any means necessary, and they really don't care who gets hurt in the process. And this is why pleading with them, trying to negotiate, or just hoping they'll change is frankly a dead end. We're talking about behaviors that are part of a fixed, deeply ingrained personality disorder. And that means the behavior isn't going to change, no matter how much you might wish it would. They'll just wash their hands of any responsibility and tell themselves, hey, I'm good, you're the one with the problem. So what is it that makes these relationships so incredibly toxic? Well, it often boils down to this fundamental clash between two very, very different types of people. On one side, you've often got what's called a highly sensitive person, or an HSP. This is someone who feels things really deeply and genuinely seeks connection. And on the other side, you've got the narcissist, who, well, lacks empathy, can't regulate their own emotions, and is only seeking that supply. While the HSP is amazing at building relationships, the narcissist is often really skilled at acquiring stuff, houses, cars, money, all while their personal life is a complete and utter disaster. It's honestly like trying to mix oil and water. It just won't work. As this quote puts it so perfectly, these are two different energy types sharing the same space, and the result is pretty much always going to be conflict. It's not about one being good and the other bad. It's about a basic foundational incompatibility. And this right here is such a critical point. For a highly sensitive person, the danger isn't feeling deeply. That's actually their superpower. The real danger is when they get stuck up in their head, trying to logically analyze behavior that is fundamentally, completely illogical. You're basically trying to make sense out of nonsense, and that, right there, is the fast track to total mental exhaustion. Okay, so if overanalyzing is the trap, then what's the escape hatch? This brings us to the breakthrough, the absolute key to getting your balance and your power back. See, the narcissist thrives by keeping you in this state of imbalance. They want you stuck in your head, analyzing their every move, while your emotional state is just a wreck of stress, anger, and confusion. And have you ever noticed how they almost seem to relax after a huge, heated argument? It's because they're being fed. They are literally getting their narcissistic supply from the chaos they just created. But there is a solution, and it's a shift that is so powerful, it becomes a total game changer for you, and, you guessed it, game over for them. It's this powerful move that just completely flips the dynamic of the relationship and starves them of the supply they so desperately need. So how do you pull this off? It's really a three-step process of redirecting all that amazing energy of yours. First, and this is the absolute biggest one, you have to stop trying to figure them out. Just stop. Second, you turn that powerful analytical mind of yours back onto the reality of the situation. And third, you give yourself permission to honor your feelings about that reality, the anger, the sadness, all of it, by expressing them in a safe space, like with a good therapist or a trusted friend. Okay, so that's the strategy. Now, let's get practical. Let's talk about the actual toolkit you're going to need to execute this escape plan. Your toolkit is all about one thing: self-preservation. This becomes your new number one priority. It means finding that safe support system where you can actually process what's happening. it means consciously combining your critical thinking about the situation with your emotional response to it. So here's the big shift. You take the spotlight off their crazy-making motives and you shine it directly onto your own health and your own well-being. And here's why this is game over for them. When you finally achieve this balance of thinking critically for yourself while honoring your own feelings, you are no longer a source of supply. The narcissist has nothing to work with. The chaos engine they built to power themselves up, it just runs out of fuel. You've effectively put them in checkmate. Executing the escape plan, that's a huge step. But what comes next? Let's talk about the final phase, which is often the most challenging one, building a new life after you've gone no contact. It is so important to understand that going no contact is not like a normal breakup, not at all. It's a complete and total change of reality. You're literally moving from one world into a totally different one. And that transition, it can feel overwhelming, even intimidating. It's a real transformation that takes time and a lot of conscious adjustment. So, to really thrive in this new reality, there are 3 key adjustments. First, you have to take off the rose-colored glasses for good and see that person for exactly who they are and what they represent. Second, you have to consciously decide how you want to exist now as someone who no longer invests in this kind of dysfunction. And finally, you have to take the time to reconnect with yourself. So many people in these situations have a bit of an identity crisis because they've been so wrapped up in the other person's world. And that's really the ultimate question this whole journey leads to, isn't it? After you've escaped the trap, after the chaos has settled, and after you've stopped trying to make sense of their story, you're left with the most important project of all, discovering and building your own. So who are you, really, outside of their story?
Sometimes when a person chooses to make a bold move, such as going no contact, this does not guarantee the narcissist and or plus B personality is going to have a change of heart. They may not have that moment of clarity when they think about all of the shenanigans. They may not think about why you left the relationship, even if you tell him or her. This doesn't guarantee your bold move will have him or her pausing for thought. They may continue to carry on as if nothing ever happened. Matter of fact, sometimes they act like the relationship never happened. Now, I'm not sharing this with you all just to discourage you from going no contact or thriving forward. I want to share this with you because sometimes the narcissist and or plus B personality, they do continue on as if the relationship never happened. Now, for some people, that causes them to feel or experience devastation, believe it or not. It depends on how deeply they were invested in the relationship. Sometimes this is a family member. Sometimes it's a person that you were romantically involved with. The bottom line is this: when it comes to a narcissist and a cluster B personality, there's just no guarantee how he or she is going to respond, or actually how they're going to react once you go no contact. And going no contact is, I think it's a bold move, especially if you have been in the relationship for a very long time. And the narcissist and cluster B personality, they're not looking for the relationship to end. So when a person goes no contact, that is definitely, to me, a bold move. They're not thinking about helping anyone to gain any insight as to why the relationship broke down in the first place. Because a lot of times, the narcissist and cluster B personality, they do a lot of things intentionally. I'm not saying they do everything intentionally. However, a lot of the things that they do, like manipulation, deception, and all the other types of diabolical tactics we can think about, they do it for sport and they do it intentionally. So sometimes when they're scouting for a source supply and they're out on the prowl or they're out there hunting for targeted prey, it's usually for sport. And this all leads right back to their false self-image being supplied. So I say it really doesn't do a person any good to reach back out to the narcissist and cluster B personality, especially after going no contact. All of those painful incidences that the narcissist has something to do with, all of that stuff comes back up. There are certain emotions that a person will begin to feel, and they usually are unpleasant. Okay, there's sadness, there's anger, but there's also confusion that they may experience. There's also mixed messages that they may be thinking about. The person may begin to doubt themselves once they go no contact. Making such a bold move I say a person ought to be very certain that that's what they want to do. There's a lot of steps the person is going to be making as they contemplate going no contact. So just keep in mind that it's totally natural to take a few steps before actually going totally no contact. Most people have to gradually go into going no contact instead of abruptly ending the relationship, and then the narcissist and cousin personality don't know what hit them. They don't know what happened. Now, some people have done this, okay? But I'm just telling you, most of the time, it is not done that way. It's a gradual process. So you're gonna need a strong foundation. You're gonna need that support base. Now, the support base can be anything from a mentor, a life coach, a counselor, a therapist, doing your research on narcissist abuse or narcissism or narcissistic personality, doing some research. Go to a library, go to a seminar, and of course, watch Luminous Star, right? Yeah, you can do all of these things to make sure that as you go forward, as you thrive forward, and you've made such a bold move, such as going no contact, you're going to make sure that you're okay. This is not the time to worry about the narcissist or the cousin personality. They've been getting the supply from you. They've been taking care of their business. It's time for you to take care of yours.